Pennywise, the dancing clown, is the mask that is being worn by this it from outer space that landed on Earth and has terrorized an entire town of Derry. And the reason its outreach has now went around the world is because of these pillars that were put in its place like a prison, keeping it from escaping. And it dulls its power and its influence on what it could do. Now, the more it feeds, the stronger it becomes. We learned that also in this series. That even though it wakes up every 27 years and goes into a hibernation of sleep, it also becomes more powerful the more it consumes. But the pillars keeps it in its place. There's certain artifacts that's written on these things that keeps it almost like runes that keep it in its place in its respected power. Now, the black spot that you saw from the Stephen King's adaptation of the book is implemented more in this series as a hangout spot for the black soldiers during this time. And all hell is going to break loose. And it seems like this is where Pennywise will make an appearance with somewhere within these last two episodes. Pennywise have already made his presence felt within the town. As you can see, it's almost like a bunch of Klansmen going in to do a deed, and they all seem to be influenced by Pennywise. Now, everyone above is determining a factor that doesn't resonate with the rest of the world. And because it's not resonating with the rest of the world, Welcome to Derry is going to be an explosive situation where the fire will rise. Well, I believe there's a lot of things that can happen here that lead to the characters that we had in the first film. Like, let's say Mike, for instance. Mike is a character that took a life of its own. And his father's in here, and you can see that this could turn into something that could. He's never left Derry. By the way, his father never left, so you can tell when the wife threatens to leave and saying that she's leaving and she's taking the son with her. He's dedicated to staying. As in the original It adaptation, he's no longer in the military and he's slaughtering cows, and teaching Mike, this is what you're going to have to do. So his grandfather seems like he stayed behind, but what made his grandfather so bitter, or his dad rather, so bitter, to the point where they end up staying. And he felt like Derry was the place for them to be forever. So something goes terribly wrong here. Now, one of the characters, Richie, the Cuban kid, that everyone seems to like on the show. Now, I don't think he marries the girl eventually that we see. In the opening credits, they kind of explain the slaughter that happened in the town. As we'll get back to Richie in a second. But in the artwork, you can see Pennywise jumping out with a Tommy gun out of a building, slaughtering everyone in the car. In the artwork, he's jumping out of the building and slaughtering everybody in the car. And that's in the opening credits right outside of Bannon's. Now, a lot of popular people make their adaptations and thoughts, but they have full autonomy as to what it is that they want to do, and rightfully so. The Muschettis are doing, husband and wife are doing a great job with the series. They seem to have the idea of what they want to do with the project, and they're doing a great job. Now back to Richie, the boy, the Cuban kid that everyone loves so much. Many feel he's going to die. Pennywise is going to kill him. And it's going to break a lot of people's hearts. I don't think him and the girl that like each other, and he has his love letter for her in his shoe. I think she finds that later. Like he loses a shoe after Pennywise takes him, and she looks in his shoe and finds the note. And he's not the father of Richie, but his name is inspired by Richie. That the girl with the one eye, eventually, her son is going to be Richie, and she's going to name him after this guy that she liked as a kid. That's what I'm going to believe. Now, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be way off. But I most likely can be right. Series is excellent because they take time to make the writing not all about Pennywise, even though it is. Meaning that they're not making him the butt of all jokes. It's like Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger. What made them terrifying was that you didn't see them. You see, that's what's the terrifying part. They could be there, they could not be there. You didn't know, the unexpected. Once they start getting a lot of on-screen camera time, it ruins the effect. If I'm watching Michael Myers walk everywhere, throughout the whole movie, once I'm seeing Freddy Krueger on the screen every 2 seconds talking, hey, ha, 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 I used to stalk. F that. Hey, I'm Freddy. If I'm looking at Jason walking through the woods, it loses the horror effect. That's why Nightmare on Elm Street didn't become scary anymore. It became MTV. Then you saw Freddy just became a pop icon. You saw Michael Myers become someone who wasn't scary anymore. He became somebody they rooted for and wanted to see do the killings. Then you seen Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, There's a guy who just stumbles along as a zombie doing kills. It lost its effect. This now, you have character development. More than you could do in a film. But even in a film, they were very effective in making the characters mean something. You knew about all of the characters in the way they did the It movies. It wasn't an overdose of just Pennywise. He would make his appearances, and when he did, it was terrifying in the first movie. They're doing a great job of connecting the storyline and using the materials that was in the book that was very essential. The tension that was going on in the town of the book, it, and what they would show on the television and even the film adaptation, they had, for time purposes, they couldn't show all that stuff. Now that you have a series, you could really outline a lot of things. Now, who's to say this is the end of the series and they just say, oh, this is just the one season? It is the write-off. Well, we now know that while she's Pennywise the clown, we also know that she's been following them, trying to get whatever information she could as to hopefully see the entity again. Now, this would explain why the photos they took did not present any of the ghosts that they saw when they took the pictures, because the ghosts were never there. That was Pennywise manipulating their minds to make sure to let them believe that they were actually on the picture when they weren't on the picture whatsoever, because they wanted it to be there so badly. They thought it was there, and when they turned to the town, everyone thought that the town was hypnotized and they just couldn't see it, when in effect they just didn't appear at all. It was Pennywise manipulation. The clown was there, and they was like, well, why wouldn't Pennywise get rid of that? Because that was in the actual photo of Pennywise. So that wasn't a hallucination. That was an actual person. Now, yes, moving right forward, Halloran is eventually going to leave the military. He's going to leave, unlike the wife, of course, and he joins the cast of Jack Nicholson when he starts working at the Overlook Hotel, which I don't know what would draw him to the Overlook Hotel, which he should have felt in his presence that this hotel is full of spirits and dark things. So if you're looking to escape something, why the hell would you come here to work? Hollering was all messed up. So yeah, I'm surprised they had them drinking liquor on or Air Force Coke. But yes, he was a Boy Scout, a Weeblos. And that everyone thinks that's going to be his son. He's the father of Richie. And he's got glasses like his mother and everything. I don't think he's the father of Richie. What I believe is that his name is inspired by Richie. I don't think that kid makes it out of the series. Why? Because what it showed, if you've been following the pattern of it gets you emotionally attached to a character and will take that character away. And you go, oh man. And that character's gone. But of all the characters, as a young actor, he has carried a lot of the weight with the positivity, the direction. A lot of it has been him really steering it. He's done a tremendous job in this series. Well, they're not all going to be goners because they're going to be parents to the kids that we see down the road. The losers gang, right? So when they start putting this together, all of these people eventually, normally if you see some shit like this, I would have never been in Derry another day in my life. But I'd have left that town alone. There's a lot of uncomfortable reasons why people are so enamored with it's the possibilities. When you're enamored by the possibilities of something, then you start to see it a little bit more clearly, a little bit more focus, a little bit more energy. People forget that these characters are connected. Like, I don't know if Mike marries the girl, the black girl on here, but his Mike's father obviously is this little kid whose dad is in the military, and it doesn't look like they're going to leave Derry either, even with the threats of we're leaving Derry. No, I think they're going to find a way to try to figure it all out. But in the process, there are a lot of us yes, it's a crazy situation, but when you're one way and everybody else bends another, it's called society, buddy. Society puts us and pins us against each other. So when society pits you and pin you against yourself, there's not much that some people fold. And with children, it became easier to eat to the fear and everything in totality. Now, for me, what the worldview is different is entirely different. My mentality that's taking place is a lot different than what others may see. Um, why was his father so hell-bent on staying in dairy after everything he was experiencing in this series? Key factors. And then they end up getting a cow slaughtering business. Well, it's always been quite interesting for me because Mike has often been someone who turns a corner at every point. Okay? Turns a corner. And as he turns the corner, yeah, I think so. Taking out them patty cakes. Yeah, he probably will. Yeah, everybody has liked them two together. And whenever you see stuff like this, and you can see that he clearly loves this girl, even though she's a patty cake. And the fact that he can play the drums drives her crazy. This is the reality and the future reality of their um, that he might not live and survive, knowing the way this series goes. Instead of him being the father of Richie, I think she might be inspired to name her son Richie after him. But who knows? Yeah, taking that character out would be devastating to the show. Now, if Will loses his parents, maybe that would put him in a darkened state to where he just wants to stay in the town for some reason. That to me, that would drive him out of the town. Yeah, he's been the star of the show. The Cuban kid has definitely stole the show. He has been the lifeline of the series. He's the heart of the show. And everybody's like, that's his son. I'm like, I don't think that's his son. It could be, but I think he's inspired by. I don't know if he makes it. You know, it's funny because growing up as kids, this is how it was. You and your buddy or your new friend, if he had a chick and she had a friend or whatever, and he's like, look, I'm trying to get with the other chick. He's like, but I'm being cock blocked by pops over here. It's a whole lot of stuff going on in the town of Derry. But I'm enjoying the series. I'm enjoying it rather well. So what I'm going to do is continuously follow this pattern and see which ways this tread runs. But with the next two episodes, it's going to turn up. The next two is going to be insane. The fire, all of it. And they're purposely not showing us the last episode or any clips from that last episode. Oh, yeah. The next one is the longest series. The fire episode, yes. Well, what helps Pennywise's character is that he's a shapeshifter. And by being a shapeshifter, you could have it be anything and don't actually have to be into the. Yeah, yeah, he could be anything. So he could be in the movie without being in the movie. One of my scenes that I liked that was very well executed was the 1930s scene. See, the 1930s scene to me is what was very telling. When she was like, "Oh my God, it's you, Papa," and he's like, "What the hell?" Then his memory goes like, oh, you're the little girl. Like, he was, you brought a friend. You finally came. But, you brought a friend. She's Papa? Huh? He was like, what? She didn't fear him. That's why he was like, ugh, you brought a friend. Like, cause he could smell like she did not have the fear in her at all. So it's like a stench to him. Yeah, you brought a friend. But then, as he's just drooling because he's ready to eat, this is why, like, Pennywise could have just jumped them right then and there. But he needs to get that hormone up, that adrenaline running of fear. So he has to scare them first. So to scare her as well, to try to get her adrenaline running of fear. Yeah, because she's just like Henry Bowers. Like Henry was used as a catalyst so that they could move around and about town through his power and influence. It gets things done physically that it needs it to have done. You could see he could use like the dead kids and use their bodies to do whatever he wants to do. His powers shows that there are really very few limits to how he can manipulate his power. That's not an Indian artifact. That's an alien artifact. See, the alien artifact, it came in whatever he landed when he landed on Earth. It was containing him, so he was already imprisoned. Everyone believes it's the turtle that imprisoned him, and he's from another dimension. And he was able to crash land. Something happened that caused him to crash land on Earth, and he was able to escape here on the planet. But the artifacts of that cage will keep him in prison. Because remember, he's just a being of light. He's not really a clown. He doesn't really have a shape or a form. Mm. Yeah, so all the dead lights, yes, it paralyzes you and puts you in a different state. If you were able to look at the light that's inside of him, you would become paralyzed and float. Mm. Yeah, I know. But we'll tackle all of that, buddy. We'll get into all of it. But right now, we're out. Enjoy the rest of the series, and we'll be back when it ends.